Okay. Okay, yep. Do you hear me now? There was a power outage in my area, and it seems to have messed with all my devices. But there we go. I'm glad you were here to point that out, because otherwise I probably would have kept talking to myself all day, and no one would have heard a word. That would have been very unfortunate. And yes, there was a brief power outage where I was at, and it was resolved very quickly, so all is well. But unfortunately, it seems to have reset a bunch of my settings and various things. I think I got it all right, but if you see something wrong, just let me know. You're angry, huh? What's wrong? How the heck did all these get pulled so far down? Well, I'm glad I'm taking a look at this area to fix it all up now. And that should help fully fix things. Let's see if this is good enough, or if it's still looking pretty bad and slidey. Still looking pretty bad and slidey. Okay. I shouldn't be too lazy then. I see. That does sound like a lot of homework. Good luck. I mean, that's generally how it goes, yes. If you don't do what you're supposed to do in school, then they are obligated to tell your parents. Because ultimately, performance in things like school is something that should be worked out between you and your parents. Teachers can't really make you do anything. I guess strictly speaking, your parents can't either, but they can make your life hard. So... I don't think that the teacher is suggesting that you do that for, his sake. Basically, it's... trying to think from, the teacher's perspective. I believe that he thinks that if you summarize what he taught you in your own words, you're going to be more likely to remember it. There's some merit to it, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's worth your time, or any of that, or... you know. But, yes, summarizing things in your own words can indeed help you remember things. That much is at least true. And I mean, when it comes to a lot of stuff in schools, it's not... how should I phrase this? It's not necessarily about doing something useful, it's... about... I guess, proving that, or trying to convince people that what they're doing is meeting certain criteria. More or less. That's why a lot of it is around a lot of learning in before like the university level is much more about test scores and those kinds of standards, as opposed to actually being able to do something. I'd actually argue that early university level is the same, but there's at least more room for debate there, but yes. For younger students, I think it's much more about meeting standards and whatnot. I don't think it's necessarily great for learning. And I don't think that everything that's taught is necessarily useful to everyone, but I do think that learning a wide variety of subjects and that kind of thing can, one, teach you how to learn, which will help you in life if you take it seriously, and two, can expose you to subjects that you might not have thought about otherwise, and might help you find something that you enjoy doing. So especially before the high school age, I actually think it's good for people to be doing a lot of different things, even if they may or may not be relevant to that child's life in the future, just so that they can get some amount of exposure to it. I think that's good. So, I have many opinions on education. I'm not sure what your education is like in your country, so this is mostly based on what I know of what's going on with mine. But I never did well with school stuff, so... My grades were fine because I could memorize well, but... I don't know, I found it oppressively boring. And I was a nerd, man. I found it just... very boring, like I wasn't getting very much good from it, and that I was better off just learning stuff on my own. So... Alright, when I was taking a look at things around here, around this area, I decided that I didn't look very good on the left either, so now I'm fixing up my left turns as well. It's okay. I think it looks better. I can definitely see why I wanted it to be like that on my original attempt. I do think it matches the energy a little bit better, but I think this matches the movement a little bit better, and I think it looks better like this. So, this is what I'll be doing. I'm gonna just match the movement a little bit closer. I think it still has the right energy. So I won't fudge it too hard. And I suppose I should actually be checking the diagonals a little bit more closely, because I keep seeing issues every time I look at one. But okay, no, this one looks fine. It's just the upper right that I keep seeing issues then. Fair enough, that turn. That turn. I guess it's the one that still needs the most help. It's fine. It'll get there. You know, I was gonna do these parts later, but this part is bothering me enough that I'm gonna go ahead and fix that now. Which layer even is that? Is this one? There we go. It was a quick fix. I just wanted to make sure that it was properly tucked under the bang like it needs to. I think this should be okay once I turn the back hair on, so I'll revisit that once I turn her back hair on. I swear, every time I say back hair, it sounds less like the hair behind her head and more like hair on her back or something. Definitely not the intention. It is indeed the hair on the back of her head. Ah yes, and yesterday I was indeed able to release the drawing time-lapse. For my header image. I'm still really happy with how it came out. I think it looks nice. It's all up in the community tab and everything too. Working in that style was honestly pretty interesting. It's pretty far off from what I normally do. Because for the longest time, I could not do anything resembling line art to save my life. And that had a lot of stuff resembling line art. I just used it a little bit differently. Most of the time I see people use line art that is darker than the surrounding colors, but here I deliberately made it lighter. It kind of gave it that more weird, ethereal feeling that I was going for. And it took me a little while to figure out how I should stylize certain parts of it. So, that process is all up there, albeit very much sped up. But I enjoyed putting all that together. You can bet you'll see that style again in the future. I still have many things I want to do to refine it. And even there, in certain places, I kind of felt myself just slipping back into what was a little bit more comfortable for me. As opposed to what I think might have really suited that particular style better. So I think that there will be many more iterations on this in the future as I continue to figure out the best way to handle this particular style and what I want it to show. And maybe do it a little bit faster so that I can use a version of it for my comic. Is that there? That is the start of the idea for the art style for that. Takes me way too long to be able to do it for a comic, though. There's no way I could draw like 60 panels in a week with that. Alright, now back to fixing up that area in the right turns. But I do think this is looking better, and I have another little spot that I want to revisit in the upper right before I start getting back into that, you know, the hairs defining the outer part of her head. And I also want to check the diagonals again. I don't think I'm going to make any more changes on the left turn, so let's go check them. See if there's anything just looking kinda gross and feeling bad. I've always thought my left turns were looking a lot better than my right turns, so... Although, I don't know, there might be a little bit too much lift up here. Yeah, I actually think there is. Okay. Let's try to bring some of that down a little bit. Okay, no. One thing at a time. I want to fix the stuff over her eye first. Is there anything wrong down here? Maybe something with over there, but I am going to be correcting that later. So I think this over here is okay. How's my lower right? Maybe some shenanigans over here, but that is again something I plan to correct later. So I think I will revisit that a little bit later as well. Okay, and maybe right here isn't quite working. Okay, and I still have to fix the upper right, so I'll check that one in a little bit. Okay, let's get this properly covering this eye now. This is the angle that made me realize just how far off it was, so I thank you, upper right turn, for having so many problems that I just keep finding more and more things I want to fix everywhere. That is probably the most backhanded compliment I've ever given. I'm glad inanimate objects don't have feelings. Might consult the mesh on some of this. Let's see. Because there's a shenanigan here. I'm not quite sure where it is, but I can see it. So that suggests to me that this turn might need a little bit of help. Gotta see how far I can get with my eyes first, and then consult the mesh for some of the finer details. Because as of right now, even just the angle where it kind of comes out from behind the bang isn't quite right. Actually, now that I think about it, is the top looking okay? Okay, yeah, things are fine there, so I can line it up at the top as well. That's nice. Makes my life a little bit easier, because then I don't have to worry about the diagonal quite as much, and this will give me a little bit more information to work with. So now now that I know that I can trust the top turn, I can line it up with both the right turn and the top turn in order to find that right angle. Okay, I think this is where I start consulting the mesh. Alright, mesh, what you got for me? The answer actually is not much. It looks like it's not that far off, so I'm not quite sure what it is I'm seeing, but I'm seeing something, so I'll keep looking. Okay, that was a bunch of stuff moved around. Let's see if it looks any better. Oh yeah, that looks much better. Okay, I think that's pretty good. And now what brought me on this tangent in the first place was I was checking the diagonal to the upper right in order to check some things, and it just so happened that the side bang here had an angle that was a little bit off. And it got me looking around that area, and I happened to find just... I didn't feel like the area around her eye was quite right. Okay, and with that, I think I'm actually going to go back and do those corner fixes that I saw, where I went along the diagonal, and I felt like the upper left especially was just raising certain parts up way too high. I actually kind of see it the upper right too, so hopefully fixing it up here will give me a few more clues on how to fix it on other angles. But the part that I see it the most clearly in is the outside of this bank. So I think if I just pull this down a little bit, it should be okay. In theory. Kinda alter the angle of a couple of things here. Unfortunately, I think this means I'm gonna have to make it a little bit less round, which is always a little bit sad. But it's for the best. Okay, now that's looking better. I think that's fine right there. There's still something around the side bank here. It's definitely squirming a little. I'm actually going to check up here before I get back into in here. Because I think I already know how to fix this. It'll be fairly straightforward, I think. Okay, I think this is a straightforward fix too. Just gotta fix the angle like right over here. The angle that this strand comes out has been surprisingly important and touchy. I never thought that line there would be so important. But every time I fix something with that area, it just looks so much better. So... yeah, that's a lesson learned from me. I'm not quite sure what that lesson is. But, yes. I'm sure that somewhere in my subconscious, I am assimilating that information and doing something with it. And my passive mental calculations will feel it in the future. Okay. Let's go ahead and fix this area then. Okay, what did I say that I need to do that? Yes. Okay, so I think it's going to be pretty easy because I'm pretty sure I can just select this layer and all of the side bank stuff. Select all of the vertices and just move them a click over to the right. And I think that'll fix it. I might need to touch up where it joins with the other side. Yep, that's a lot better. Okay. So I need to touch up where this side connects to this side, but other than that, that did pretty much everything I wanted. That's why I said I'd figured it would be pretty straightforward. Now I just gotta figure out how to connect it all. But it looks like that might be all I have to do. Oh, that'd be wonderful. Very convenient. Okay, now I'll just touch up this edge a little bit. This part should actually be quite straight. Right now it's curving a little bit too much. So I'll touch up that curve and try to make it straighter. Still, it kind of looks like it's being pushed back a little when I go up. Let me see, I had this one minimizing the shadow, this one showing more of it. So I think if I show a little bit more of that shadow there, it might look a little bit more convincing. Because the right is where I'm minimizing it to, right? Yeah. So this shadow kind of sitting under the bang here, I'm making it small here, big here, small here, big here. So this one should be quite big. And I do indeed have it quite narrow. I'm sure I had reasons. But now I think I can get away with making it a little bit larger, regardless of what those reasons were. So let's test that, and see if that makes things look a little bit better. I think it should in theory. Just, you know, in theory. Gotta go find out now. Okay, I think that helped a bit, and now I just need to adjust some stuff on that side bang there. There's like a little bit sticking out over here that I don't have on that turn. Actually, I guess it really shouldn't be on this way on the left turn to begin with. So maybe if I fix it there, then all my problems will be solved. That'd be nice. I like it when all my problems are just solved. It's very nice. There's like this little fat part right there. I'm not quite sure how to get rid of it. So I might just have to put it on the upper left turn as well. Let me try consulting the mesh here. See if it has any ideas for what might be causing what I'm seeing there. Okay, yeah, that helped a little bit, and then I think the other half of the issue is just on the upper left. So I can go in and fix the rest right over here. This might be another place where I consult the mesh a little bit, just to work out the last couple of details, but yes. I found that I was moving some of these central vertices, perhaps a little bit more than I should have. That might be okay. Let's zoom out and see if that did what I wanted it to do. Yeah, looks fine. Hello there, Luminance. How are you doing today? Oh! Congrats, what'd you do? Alright, I think that did it. Do I like the way that highlight lines up? I do not. Okay. Gotta line up the end of this highlight with the upper turn, and then hopefully I can go back to fixing shenanigans on my right turns. It's okay, it's important to get all these shenanigans good too. Okay, I guess I'll fix the part of the highlight that I don't like down here too. While I'm in this area and thinking about all this. This guy just needs to come over here a little bit, I think. And then I think all will be well. Okay, I think that amount of movement is fine. Alright. So now I can get back up here and start trying to line up what I did yesterday with down here. Because there was something wrong and I was having trouble pinpointing what I needed to do to fix it. But I think I see it now. Glad I waited a day. Because now things are a little bit more clear to me. And I think it'll look better because of that, rather than just trying to force my way through. I am prone to forcing my way through things. I see. Where did you meet her? Yes. Oh, that is a good way to meet people. What were you playing? I see. Well, you must have had a good time if you're talking about her now. Aw, well that's nice. She sounds like a nice person. Yeah, I'm glad you're able to find something nice. I mean, most of the time when I hear about people just randomly meeting in Genshin, it's people going into their world so they can steal all your resources. So it's nice when you actually meet someone that actually wants to engage, instead of just take all your stuff. Like, I'm not gonna claim that age doesn't matter at all, but at a certain point, it kinda doesn't. Especially depending on what you're doing. So, I'm not really surprised. Not really something you gotta worry about, I think. I think overall, people have more in common with each other than they do differences, so if you can just engage based on those things that you have in common, everything should work out. Alright, I think I've actually worked my way through most of the problems that I was having yesterday, and now things are lining up much more nicely. So that feels good. Because man, yesterday I was making all my problems seem super insurmountable, and yet here we are, just a few minutes and a little bit of thought, now that my brain is a little bit fresher, and many of those problems have just disappeared. Oh, there was basically this strand right here. It looked really, really bad on the upper right. It was super uncomfortable. So I spent a bunch of time fixing it, and I couldn't quite get it to line up with the right turn. But now I think it's lining up just fine. Looks very convincing. So I'm just kind of putting in some finishing touches in a few places, and then I think all will be well. like, I think I made it look easy, but yesterday, man, I had tried a few things and I just could not get it to work. But in this case, the issues were small enough that I had a little bit of trouble identifying it, and I just had an easier time now that I spent a day not looking at it. That tends to be how a lot of art stuff goes for me. If I get stuck, I just work on something else for a while, if I am able to, and if I am not, I just take a break and do something else. It works pretty well. It's like creative subjects aren't quite like ye old 9-to-5 desk job, where if you just spend enough time banging your fingers on the keyboard, you'll eventually finish and just find the right answer. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of time to refresh your mind or look around and meditate on things. In this case, I just needed to look away from it for a little while in order to really identify what I was having problems with. But for other things, sometimes I do need to step away and look at something else for a while. Do something else for a while, even. And then the answer will come to me. That's been happening a lot in my adventures with writing the script for my comic. Sometimes I walk away from it for like a week or so, and I come back with a bunch of fresh new ideas that just work better than anything else that I'd come up with so far. It's been working out. Creativity is like that sometimes. I don't really like it when people act like they need inspiration to do anything, but at the same time, sometimes walking away is the best thing you can do for yourself. Just give yourself some time to think. There's a balance to be struck. Alright, so now I can just put the finishing touches on things and start lighting this up with the lower right. I did see a few places where I wanted to fix this area in my left turns, but it's far less prominent in those areas. So it should be a little bit easier on me. Here's hoping. Sometimes when I expect things to be easy, they are not easy. Not at all. And sometimes when I expect things to be hard, they are not hard. That is to say, the brain cannot actually see the future, even if it likes to convince you that it can. Brain keeps thinking that it's smarter than it is. Alright, I think this level of squirming is fine for that area. I think it's barely even noticeable. Even I have to be staring at it pretty hard to notice some parts that I'm less than sure on. I think it's fine. Okay. So let's move down to the lower right here. Oh good, lower right has less problems. Less, but not zero. The upper right just had many, many, many problems. So it took a little while to figure out exactly what I needed to do up there. It's okay, I think that's better now. I got rid of, like, the worst feeling. I almost want to call it rigging Uncanny Valley, where I recognize that something is wrong with the movement, but I can't immediately place what it is. So it just felt kind of uncomfortable and gross, but now I think it's okay. Alright, I might need to consult the mesh a little bit on this one. Let's do what I can with my eyes first, because my eyes can recognize that this shadow is too high. Not surprising, I did a whole bunch of shenanigans with this shadow area to fix all of the problems that I was looking at yesterday. So it makes sense that it'd be a little bit off here too. I'm gonna try to space out the vertices a little bit more evenly here. Okay, well there weren't very many problems there, some of them were kind of small. So I had to think long and hard about how I needed to move some of these highlights and stuff. But now I think I got the worst offenders, like this guy here. He did not know what was going on. But now I think I got him in a better spot. I'm not quite satisfied with the movement on this highlight that I'm poking at just yet. And my nose continues to be randomly itchy. So yeah, so we'll try to get that one in place. And then I can keep working my way down. Might do a little bit of a bald jump scare. Yeah, I think I'm going to. Just because it's so much easier to manipulate this strand when I don't have the very detailed strand under it, messing with my vision. So we're just gonna do a minor bit of baldness here while I figure out where this particular strand should be going. But it's exciting because with this, like once I get this on all angles, that'll be the entire, like, outer left side of her head there. Totally defined in a way that I enjoy. It'll be another area down and another step closer to finally finishing my head turns and moving on. Okay, just kinda gonna even out this outer edge here. I think I have everything from roughly the shadow up in the right place, so I can afford to straighten it out a bit. I'll worry about up there at the very top a little bit later. So maybe not quite from the shadow up, but pretty close. I want to work everything out a little bit lower first. I do feel like this highlight is being pinched a little bit. Let me consult the mesh and see what it has to say about this. How much further apart should these things be? Okay, I see the answer. Because yeah, when the vertices get closer together like that, it's gonna push the texture underneath closer together. So it kind of gave the appearance that that little highlight was being pinched. It's kind of pushed together in a rather uncomfortable way. Alright, I think I'm gonna go look at the top now. I have decided that I want to go up here. I don't know why my brain makes these decisions sometimes, but it has. I think it liked the idea of having everything on the top end being right before I moved it downward. And so once I mentioned it to it, it's like, oh yeah, I should look at that. It makes sense in my head, at least. Oh yeah, that's so much smoother. Okay, let's hope that lines up. Probably should have checked that first, but worked out because it mostly does, and it's the very top right here that doesn't. And that's not affected by anything I just fixed. I feel no consequences for the mistake I just made. It worked out. Cool. Okay. I will really have to fix this part a little bit later. I think that'll actually be the next thing that I fix. Just to kind of get this entire area looking very nice. After a lot of my changes, I actually think that this area still looks pretty good on the lower right turn. So I'm just going to adjust it slightly. And I think all will be well. Yep. That looks pretty well to me. Okay. So now I can continue working my way down. And kind of organize things in this area. Okay, so I see a lot of pinching happening here again. It's kind of funny because this time the pinching looks like it's making this part come out, even though they're technically unrelated. It just kind of worked out like that. I think it looks funny. Okay. So some of that is the texture being pinched together, so I'm going to consult the mesh for that to kind of work out how far apart some of these vertices should be. And try to evenly space them a little bit more. Yeah, there we go. Okay, and this part needs to come out a little bit. Just a little bit. This strand has this kind of weird thing going where it's kind of straight through here, and then it actually like curls backwards. Like, when you reach the end here, the curl is further to the left. So I kind of want to keep that energy there. Okay, cool. Now I think I can start cleaning this up a little. Won't go too deep into cleaning until I'm satisfied with, like, this entire edge. But I don't think that's going to happen until I at least clean up through here just a little bit. So I'm going to try to work out some of this. Not going to worry about getting it perfect. The perfection will come a little bit later. Once I know that they're all in good places. Okay, there's a spot here that still looks like it's a little bit too high. So I'll go ahead and visit that spot. And let's just pull all of these little guys down. They want to be a little bit lower. I can oblige. Okay, I think I can start smoothing out where the straight starts becoming a curve. So I want to make sure that this part is pretty straight. Just gonna straighten out this whole area. There we go. Okay, yep, there we go. It's all kind of starting to come together. And indeed, the parts further down that I don't like, I think are all related to it just being a little bit messy. So, I think this is where I can go down and just smooth everything out in general. And I can get rid of this bald spot, turn her hair back on. Okay, let's see. That's looking mostly clean. Right here, I think still needs a little bit of extra work. Yeah. Get that line the right width. See, doing that is actually pretty straightforward with how I meshed it. I just need to make sure that the vertices are the right distance apart. Oh yeah, and saying right is incorrect reminded me of something that yesterday I continued to be annoyed that right is in direction and right is incorrect used the same word in English. So I decided to look up why. Because this is just what I do sometimes, and Indeed! It is literally because right was considered morally superior somehow. At least that was, it's like the prevailing belief that the right hand was most people's dominant hand, and thus more correct. Because it was stronger and generally more useful. And so the fact that right is incorrect and right is in direction use the same word, very much not a coincidence. It really was because the right direction was considered morally superior, which is just... it's just so absurd! Humans are funny. So that's at least kind of the prevailing theory. Naturally, we cannot go ask people that spoke Old English, because they are dead. But that seems to be the case. Language is fascinating. Can tell you so much about the people that you're talking to. Alright, so now all that's left is to kinda fix the hair in this area between the side and the side bang. And maybe some minor bits of cleanup at a few places. There's a little spot here that I am not quite happy with, so let's see if I can fix it up a little. It's a minor thing, but I have seen it like every time I've rotated the head. So I think it's worth cleaning up if it's that clear to me. Okay. I want to try something. I am wondering if it's worth getting rid of this pink area entirely on the lower turns. I am not actually sure if that is going to work out, but I want to try it. Yeah, it looks a little bit too weird. Her head doesn't move down quite enough for that effect to work. So I should match what I have on the right turn, just maybe slightly thinner. Slightly less noticeable. It's okay. It was worth trying. So I'll just do a teeny tiny little sliver of pink. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Or it will once I kind of get everything in the right place, but it's a start. A pretty good start, I'd say. Yeah, I still need to show a little bit more pink up top, too. I was wondering if I could get away with leaving that area a little bit more covered, but I don't think it looks good. So we'll just let a tiny little sliver of pink peek out from over there, too. Still kind of feels like some things are sliding downward, so I will continue to slide some of these vertices upward a little bit more. Pull a little bit more pink out of a few places. Right now I'm trying to show as little as possible, so I'm doing small movements and then testing them. See if it continues to look a little bit strange to my eyes. Okay, I think here's looking alright. I do need to pull the strand down, which is going to pull certain parts of the pink down. But that should be okay. This little guy, he got pushed up a little bit too high while I was doing all that. But that's a much better spot for it, I think. Okay. Alright. Now I'm just starting to look at these strands over here. But they weren't that far off, so... hoping it won't take me too long to find the right angles for all of these guys, too. Because I'm still feeling pretty good, so I think I'm going to go for a little bit longer. And there's this loose strand out the side there. I think I'm gonna go grab him, and that might be the last thing I do for today, unless it goes exceptionally well. But that little guy's always been a little bit of an ornery one, so I expect it to take a couple of tries to get just right. I'm gonna consult the mesh on this one because I can tell that the problem is actually with the side bang and not the stuff underneath it. But I'm having trouble pointing why. Okay. This one's a little bit too high up. That appears to be the main problem. So I'm not too worried about the hair down here yet. I'm still going to focus on the hair kind of around and above her eyes. And I'll do all the stuff down there later. So I think all of my adjustments for this area is going to stop right around her ears. So I see a couple of things I want to adjust over there. But honestly, I think things are looking pretty alright. Just going for perfection at this point. Same with over here. Still, just going for perfection. I think this area is pretty close. There's just a little spot that needs to fan out a little bit more right through there. Then I think it'll look pretty good. Yeah. I still kind of want to fix her ears at some point. There's something about them that's just not quite working for me. But I want to do the hair right now. So I'm gonna do the hair. Alright. So I think all is well there. Let me make sure that it's lining up the bottom turn. See if there's anything dramatic I need to fix here. Maybe just a little bit of cleanup right around here. The curve is not quite right. But everything else I thought looked okay. Some of those vertices are still running a little bit low. Let me look at this. Okay, so it's the direction the outer ones are pointing more so than the position of them. That makes it a little bit easier to fix, honestly. Just kind of point them in this direction instead. So yeah, I'm gonna take a second to line this up with both the right and the bottom turns. Try to find a place where they can compromise well. But actually, I think the problem that I'm seeing here is with the right turn and not the lower right. I think I can just make this curve a little bit nicer here. Because this is the curved part of that strand, so I can make it nice and round, just like I like. Okay, that seems okay. So, like I was saying before, I think the last thing I want to do is take a look at this little strand right here. Because I don't think it knows what's going on right now. It's alright, we can help it get there. So, first things first, it kinda comes out a little bit more vertically, I think. And I'll make that curve look a little bit nicer. Alright. Okay, poofing out up a little bit too much at the top. And if anything, I can actually still have it go a little bit more to the side. Yeah, there we go. Okay, have it poofed up a little bit too much here, so let's pull it back down. Make it a little bit closer to the head there. And now I felt like it was getting a little bit too thick, so I'm going to squish the vertices together a little bit to make the line a little bit thinner. And by doing it from both directions, the line, in theory, should not move very far. So it should stay in about the same position, but be a little bit thinner. Okay, I still feel like it's fanning out just a little bit too much. Might be because of the adjustments I just made, but I'm not sure. But regardless, it doesn't really matter. All I need to do is kind of pull it in just a little bit more. There we go. Okay, I think that's good. Is everything lining up across the side here? What about over here? Yeah, I do think that's looking pretty good. Do I want to get into trying to fix the couple of problems that I saw on the lower left diagonal here? You know what? Sure, why not? They look fairly simple. We'll see if I regret those words, but I don't actually think this looks that bad, because I think really all I need to do is tuck a couple of things in over here. That does mean I might need to pull some shenanigans with the lining it up at the left turn. But first, I want to make sure that things are lining up with this diagonal well. I think I actually want to pull out the bottom just a little bit more. There's a little strand over here somewhere. I forget which one it is. Which one are you? You? Okay. Gotta hide that strand for just a second here while I figure out where this part of the hair should go. So, I'm feeling pretty good today, so let's see how much I can get done while I'm feeling pretty good. It's always nice to get stuff done, you know? Okay, yeah, I think that works much better. So let's clean this up just a little. I brought out the mane here just a little bit, so I need to kind of make sure that that's all properly lined up here. And I might need to give her some temporary baldness while I work out some other things, but first, kind of just want to smooth all this out. It's a little bit blobby right now. Okay, so this is where I have to hide the other strands, this way I can see what's going on underneath here. Because I noticed that there were a few points in the keyframes where I was not, or a few points between the keyframes, I should say, not on them, between them, that I wasn't quite happy with how things looked. So that tells me that I need to kind of clean up in here a little bit. It's fine to leave it a little bit crunchy. I just kind of want to line up some of the pink parts a little bit better too. Yeah, I think I see exactly what I need to fix. And it won't be hard at all. Is it just a few little spots? And just a couple of frames that weren't looking quite right to me. Yeah, there we go. That's much better. I think I still want there to be a little bit less pink, though. So let's go in and make a little bit less pink on the edge here. I think I still want a little bit to show, but not very much. Just make it a nice little thin line of pink. There we go, that looks much better. Okay, I'm gonna turn this strand back on and align it properly here. Oh, do I have a sneeze coming? My nose is not quite sure. Feels like it wants to sneeze, but... There we go, it just needed to be convinced a little bit. You ever have one of those sneezes where you can't quite tell if it wants to come out or not? I always find them a bit annoying. Body needs to make up its mind, man. And I feel like this strand needs to just be slightly rounder through here. So I'm gonna give it that cute little curl. Unfortunately, strands can be a little bit of a pain to adjust. So it's gonna take me a second to achieve cute little curl status. There it goes. Okay. Alright, let's see how much I need to fix in order to get it to look good here. Not much at all, honestly. Okay, I'm gonna go hide that strand again, because it's probably gonna move a little bit. So I feel like all I really need to do here is poof out the bottom. Just a little bit of extra poof here. I'll clean that up momentarily. But yep, that was about it. And now that I look at my lower turn here, this doesn't look super great. So let's see if I can fix that. Just gonna very gently try to guide that into place. Okay, that looks a little bit better. And I think I need to do a similar movement right here. Just pull this out a little. Yeah, there we go. And then for lining up purposes, I think I can afford to move these guys back just a little. Just because their placement doesn't matter much there, and it'll save me a little bit of a headache with this. Yeah, not a big deal at all. Still think it looks fine. So let's clean that up. Actually, no, before I clean up, I need to zoom out. Okay, no, there is one more little thing that changed. Little piece, like right there. A little bit more. Overall, I feel like the right turn looks a little bit better, so when I see something that doesn't quite match up, I like to fix the lower left. Unfortunately, most of the stuff that's not quite lining up is higher up. There we go, I think that's pretty good. So I think I can go in and clean things up here now. Good, I was wondering how hard this would be. It's like not very much of the side is showing, so I thought it'd be pretty simple, but you never know. You never know with art. It always keeps you on your toes. Always. Okay, I think I can be happy with that, and I think it actually lines up perfectly with the upper right. So let's put this strand back on, because I think it has to move a little bit here. Just a little bit. Yep. But it's okay. He's almost there. Just gotta slide him into place just a little. Just like that. Alright. So I think that's another big section done. A big important one. The outside of the left side of her head. So I think next I'm gonna start getting this one, since I've gotten everything else around it mostly. And then I kind of want to get into this too, so I might do both of these together. So just these last little underneath parts. And then the right side of her head. Right around here. And then I can worry about everything down below. This area I'm not concerned with. I think it actually still looks pretty alright. I might get some minor touching up. The over-the-shoulder hair I'm going to do with body turns. So that just leaves these guys as being pretty hard for that area. Alright, closing in. Look at her go. I do think that this is where I will stop for today. So, thank you all for coming, and I hope you're able to make something wonderful today. I'll see you all tomorrow.